Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go over the software installation with you guys really quick. All of you should have your VPS and demo account already created, but if you don't, I'm going to drop in some links in the chat, and I'll have the English updated setup guide tomorrow. I already have the Spanish one. I'm going to drop that in the chat as well. So, for those of you that are new, you would need to set up for a VPS and a broker. I use this VPS. It's $199 the first week, and then it's $19.99 a month. So if you're using another broker that's more expensive, feel free to switch over to this one when that subscription is over. And the A-Feed broker, we're using Lucror. Use this link. Make sure you use that link so you're getting the EA Economy group pricing. Minimum deposit is $1,000 and the leverage is to 1 to 500. And make sure that you're using London as your location. And I'm sorry, this is English and Spanish for some reason, but I have it in English right here. If anything, I'll put here location. Make sure it's London. Why? Because we need the latency speed of the software. We need the latency to be at a certain speed. So if our broker's in London, our VPS needs to be in UK or London as well. If you're using a broker in the US, you got to make sure your VPS is in the US. So I'll also, just, for your reference, if any of you want to copy and paste, Spanish software setup guide, and the same exact template. I'm making the same exact template in English. So it's pretty, you guys can see my screen, right? Can you drop a 555 if you can see my screen? You guys can see me, right? Someone drop a 555. So I'm probably not sharing my screen yet. Now I am. Okay, so there we go. Perfect. So I'm going to give you guys an idea of how the software setup guide looks like. This is a Spanish one, but very duplicatable once I have it translated in English. Every single link that you need to continue your setup process is already integrated in the setup guide. So you would just click the link and follow the steps. It's like ABC. It's like building a desk in IKEA. You can't get lost with the software setup guide. I have pictures of every single screen that you can think of, every single step along the way. For those who don't have Microsoft Remote Desktop, if you have Apple, this is where you'll come and download it. If you have Windows, this is where you'll come and download it. So I made this setup guide really self-explanatory. I spent like 5 hours making it. So thankfully tomorrow we'll have the English one. I've realized that this system works very well when I have a PDF going for you guys. So you can't get lost. So for those of you who already have the software installed but don't have version 4, you would just skip to the software setup step number 3, and then this is where you will come and do your software setup, your version 4 setup update, right? So it's very self-explanatory, as you can see. And then I also have, make sure you pin this when I send it out tomorrow, and be on the lookout. Make sure that the setup guide that you see as well, this template of what we consider conservative, moderate, aggressive, and high risk. Okay, so great, awesome. So let's get with it. So I'm going to do a quick replacement of these files. Let me turn the software off. So what you would do is you would go to eaeconomy.com, you would log in, And under step number 3, you would download the zip file, and this is where you're going to find the version 4 of the software. I already did this a few times actually. So once I've gotten that, what I do is I copy and paste these 3 folders and I bring them into the VPS desktop. So what I'll do is I'll paste them here on my desktop, and then what I do is I create a folder. I'll create a folder and I'll call it version 4, so I never confuse which one is which. And I already did it, so I don't need to do it again. I already did it, so I have it here, version 4. And inside my version 4, why are they empty? I guess, let me do that one more time. So I will copy and paste, and I would bring them in my folder, and there we go. So they're in my V4. And this is my terminal. So what we do next is we come into the terminal, we go into File, Open Data Folder, and I'm recording this, and the template, the software setup guide I send out tomorrow is literally going to have it step by step. Or if you're fast enough, you can do it right now during the call. I go to Desktop, I have my V folder, I open it, I copy and paste the file ending in EX4. I go back again, I go inside MQL4, I go inside Experts. I erase everything that's in there, and then I paste my file. I already did it. I go back to the desktop, I go back to V4, I copy and paste the DLL file. I go back and I go back and back to MQL4. And this time we're going to go into libraries. You delete everything that's in there and then you paste the new file. Even though it's the same name, make sure that you're pasting the new file. Once you've done that, what I do is I close my software and I reopen it. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. It just seems to work when you do it that way. So I just close and reopen it. Make sure that everything's on the daily chart. And because I did that, I think it's making me do this. Okay. All right. And then you log in. And so I must have switched something around. So what I'm going to do is, if that happens, what I do is I delete. I'm glad it happened because I'll show you how to fix it. I delete everything. I redrag it. I rearrange. I set everything on my daily. And then I bring in my software. So make sure my comments are correctly placed. All of them are checked except disable alert once. And my inputs, I'll pull up the settings, but inputs are 5% personally. I'm gonna set this up like if my account had 1,000, because I have 4,000 in my account. I don't want to confuse you guys. So if you're in demo, feel free to put the equity protector at 100. Lot size is 0.01 per 1,000. The range will be 25. Your max levels will be 10 for conservative. Everything else will stay the same. The multiplier is going to be 1.15. Make sure that you don't mess up these numbers. Make sure you don't mess up these numbers. And the position multiplier is going to be 1.35. Filters, yes. Everybody use filter. And I don't know, this week there's a lot of news events, so I would use 30 minutes. And then we turn the software on 2 hours after the market opens. So we're talking about 45 minutes from now. And we trade on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We don't on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I hit OK. Why is it making me do this again? Hold on. Sometimes it does that. It's okay. Just sign in again. Okay. There we go. So it says not trading not allowed because the software is off and because we have it set to turn on 2 hours after the market has opened, and the market already opened, but it hasn't been 2 hours yet. So then what you will do is you go into template, save template, and you can name it whatever you want. I have it named AI3. Every week I change the name to like something else. And then you can just go ahead and bring that template in on every pair. So that's it. That's how you upgrade version 4. This is where you turn it on or off. Okay. And settings, well, definitely let's use this manual. Let me go over these settings with you guys. Here. Okay, sorry, trying to pull up the I have it in my, here it is. All right, here it is, guys. So all of us should be here. Conservative, okay? Right here. It's 0.01 per 1,000. They said there's a lot of news events so they're saying to recommend us to trade half the recommended size. So if it's 0.01 for every 1,000, they're recommending 0.005 for every 1,000, which is half. That is a personal choice. Let's see the news events. So what I do, I come into Forex Factory every Sunday and I just kind of look to see what's going on. Like last week, for instance, there wasn't many news events, so I was able to trade pretty good. So there's going to be a bank holiday for JPY, and we do trade the JPY. One of the rules in trading is that we don't trade throughout news events. So since it's a volatile market, then it would make sense that they're requesting, company requested this week for us to trade half lot size. So instead of 0.01 for every 1,000, let's do 0.005, and I put it in the chat, this image, 0.005 per every 1,000. Today the software gets turned on, but you know, as you can see, there is a bank holiday with the JPY. And then let's see, there is a other news event on Tuesday morning. There's going to be a USD news event. And there's a couple other news events with a couple other pairs. But yeah, I would do 0.05 if that's what the company is recommending. Not 0.05, I'm sorry. 0.005, as you can see right here. Okay, so yes, this is what I usually look at. And let me see, what did they send? So what's happening this week in the Triad Technology news? Cliff notes. Personally, I will be running a lot size, half the position I normally do, due to all the news events happening this week. So Sunday, as we saw, there's going to be a Japanese bank holiday. So what do we expect during holidays? Don't ask because we don't know. Usually what I see though is that it's kind of slower. The market's a little slower, so don't be surprised if the market's a little bit slower tomorrow. And I guess that is why they are recommending company themselves to run half lot size on your position. Tuesday, we have some red folders in the morning. We saw that. And we have some holidays on Wednesday as well. But we aren't trading the AUD, so it won't affect us. With several bank holidays occurring this week, along with a very impactful news event regarding inflation and unemployment rates, conservative traders will take an extra cautious approach using smaller lot sizes than previous weeks. Keep in mind, liquidity is the main driving force of the market, and when banks are on holiday, that removes tons of liquidity from the marketplace, leaving trading conditions unpredictable. We encourage you to take a few minutes per day or each week to look at upcoming news events like we just did on forexfactory.com. There is an easy way to understand, and it's color-coded. So what's important are red folders. They mean high impact news events, that they have greater impact or volatility on the market. Experienced traders usually do not risk trading during these times of high volatility. So even if you were a manual trader, we wouldn't trade during these times of holidays or news events. We would stay away from the market. So we aren't doing anything different than traders do. The software works magic. It works amazing, but it only can do so much. It's not going to work under these kinds of conditions. So if there's volatility, just think software should be off. No news events, keep your software on. Historical data has proven, and this historical data, by the way, just to give you some background info, this is based on 10 years of historical data, has proven that this software works best not trading past Wednesday 2 p.m. Eastern time. So it's a very risky decision to leave your software on Thursday and Friday, especially Friday. So any of you leaving your software on Thursday and Friday, I'm just gonna let you know off the bat, yeah, you might get lucky 1 week or two, but I don't recommend leaving any open trades open on the weekend. Not with this software, not with this algorithm. I beta tested many different kinds of softwares and expert advisors and AIs, but this one in particular, since it's daily swinging, since it's swinging on the daily chart, you don't want to leave those daily chart trades open on a weekend because you can see big movements of 100 pips, 50 pips over the weekend, and sometimes $1,000 is not enough for you to handle that kind of movement. You know, if you had $2, $3, $4, $5,000 in the account, that's a little bit different. But for those of you starting with 1,000 and that's where you are at now, just stay out of trading on the weekends. It's my best recommendation from my experience. All of you should also be in the Ringer chat. It looks like this. It's where corporate sends us pretty much like the weekly update of anything going on. And if you're not in the chat, you can access this chat in your back office. Go into the software setup guide and find the link to the chat. You can only find it through your individual back office. That way you could be getting these updates, you know, like for example, today they dropped the version 4 of the software, but before you guys received it, I was already beta testing it for a few weeks. Before any new version comes out, I've already had my hands on it for a few weeks before you guys have. So, you know, that's why today I just finished doing the first setup guide. I'm doing the next one tomorrow. I will drop it in the chat. Either way, I'm recording this. So right after this call, all you need to do is rewind to the part where I did the software upgrade and make sure to switch over to version 4. All right. I love this Ringer chat. I pin it at the top of my Telegram. It's a very important chat to be up to date with things because it's literally the cliff notes of forexfactory.com. If you aren't checking the news yourself, this is a great like shortcut to know what's going on during the week. So, you know, just today they said recent historical data has shown that the Euro AUD has a lot of volatility. So That's why all of us have stopped trading AUD for about a month now, or over a month, and we're just trading the Euro USD, the USD JPY, and the Euro JPY. So yeah, basically they're just giving us recommendations. They're never gonna word it like this. They're never gonna say, do this, do that, turn your software on, turn your software off. They're always gonna say experienced traders recommend this, or novice users, we recommend this. It's always gonna be a recommendation because we are not financial advisors. We don't have Series 6 license. We're not legally, we are a software company, and we're just giving you a suggestion based on experience and results of what we think you should operate on conservatively. Just to speak for myself, I'm someone that I'm very like meticulous with like numbers and things like that. And if I say this is the limit, you know, if I say 5% and someone wants to get sneaky and put 10% on their weekly goal because I said 5 and their thought is 10 from 5 is not a big deal, just realize that yes, things like that are a big deal. And I've seen a lot of people make mistakes like that. They were off by one number, off by two numbers, or, you know, I said, hey, this is what I consider conservative, and 5% a week is conservative, and they went in for 10% weekly goal on a $1,000 account, and they took more trades than their account could handle. So I'm very meticulous. When I do say like 5%, I mean 5%. If I say 0.01, I mean 0.01. So it's very important to follow instructions because the settings will make or break you. I'm going to be very genuine and real. We can make a lot of money with this software. I've been trading live for about 2 months now. My software, I think it's making about 400 a week at this pace. And it keeps growing because it's compounding. And if you know the power of compounding, you will know that every month it's 20% on top of the profits that you made on your account. It's not 20% on top of the original 1,000 that you deposited in your broker account. It's compounded interest. It's based on what you made on the previous week, and it's an additional ROI on your investment. That 5% or that 10% or whatever your weekly goal is going to be on top of that profit, that total amount. So that's why the money grows exponentially. And I'll just give you an example of what I mean by exponential. So a very nice tool that I like to use is the compound calculator. And I'm going to drop the link for this in the chat as well, because you can like have a guide of what you're making every week. So with this calculator, I can kind of roughly tell myself what I'm going to make every week. So, for example, I started with 1,000, and in 1 week, I'm looking for that 5% in 1 week. Okay, it made $50 in 1 week, right? Now we have 1,050. Doesn't sound like a lot, but do that for 52 weeks, compound it at 5% a week. And this is conservative because, mind you, the more money your account has, the more money you can make. Let me just give you an example. I always aim for 5%, but because my account has $4,000 in it, last week I had the wiggle room in my account to go for 12%, and I closed my week with a 12% profit. Not even the best mutual funds in America get you that in a year. And I just made 12% in 1 week using this software, guys. I don't know about you, but if you aren't flipping out, like, this is like an ATM, or like imagine a little tree growing money. Like, this is it. This really is it. And if you guys aren't sharing this opportunity with your best friend, your neighbor, your cousin, your mother, your brother, like, wow, because literally, like, we can impact so many lives with tools like these, you know, just by learning how to multiply what we already have, the income we already have, Let's multiply it. So imagine in a year, look how much we can compound 1,000 in a year, conservatively at 5% a week. That's $12,000. Tell me where in the world, or what job, or what investment, or where can you go right now with as little as $1,000, start a business and turn it into 13 grand in 1 year? It just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So, you know, and just to get really excited, right now I have 4 grand to be exact in my account, and I'm gonna fund a couple thousand more in there. But like, just to give you an idea of what 4 figures can do, I mean, that's 53 grand conservatively, 5% a week, and my software did 12% last week. So, you know, the sky's the limit. There's a lot that you can do with this. I'm also going to be making a trading, it's going to be like an Excel sheet, a trade plan for you guys to keep track of this, or keep a journal, like old school. Like this week I used these settings. Like I literally have a composition notebook, and the way that I learned how to use these softwares is with a composition notebook journal. This week there was 3 news events. I used these settings. I had this much drawdown, and I made this much profit. And keep a weekly track of what you're making. That way you could really hit these goals conservatively and hit your target every single week, every single month. So let's go over little software things. Okay, so we already did the upgrade to version 4, and it should say 4.0, right? The settings, nothing really changed in comparison to version 3, except the range multiplier and the position size multiplier. Just go by the actual template that I send you guys as conservative, moderate, conservative, moderate, aggressive, and aggressive. So there's different levels. So stay in the green zone if you have $1,000 in your account. If you're new and if you're just getting on board, just stick to that green zone. Okay, so on and off is here. If you want to change your settings, you click the smiley face. If the face is sad, the software is off. If the face is happy, the software is on. Make sure they're all on the daily charts. And make sure you're just trading these pairs, these 3 pairs. If some of you are trading 6 or 5 pairs, I don't recommend it. Just stick to these 3 pairs. What you do to one pair, you must do to the other. So what I always do is I save the template of whatever settings I made, and then I bring in the template to the other 2, and that's it. So for accounts of 1,000, weekly goal 5, equity 100. Since we're gonna follow directions, and since they told us to trade half of what we would usually trade, I wouldn't get upset, because yeah, last week I made 12%. So even if I made 3% this week, I'm happy. I still made 12% last week. It's not about how much you make every week. Forex is about the average you make a month and the average you make a year. There's going to be weeks where you make 3%, just like there's going to be weeks where you make 12, 15, 14%, 15%. I've even seen 30%. And yeah, there's definitely ways to go about there. But if you're new, I don't want to overwhelm you. So there is a strategy to go in for that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. And I'll give you an example. Last week, I hit my weekly goal of 5% within 24 hours of the market opening. It wasn't even Monday morning, and I already had hit my 5%. So yeah, I went in and I raised my weekly goal to 6%. I hit the goal again. I raised it to 7%. I hit the goal again, and I kept hitting the goal every couple hours, and so I kept raising it until it was Wednesday night. I said 1 more percent, and it was at 12. And so I got for the week 12%, but it's not like I went in it. I went in it Sunday evening and said, all right, I'm going to go in with my settings and make 20% and like get greedy with my settings. Because that's how you can blow your account or run into trouble. So always 5%. Half of what they trade, or half of what we usually trade for 1,000 is 0.01. So this week, since there is the Japanese news events are all tomorrow. Sorry, today, because it's a bank holiday. We're gonna follow the recommendations of the company. Level 25, this can go to 10. That's fine. This can stay at 20. This stays at no. The multiplier is going to be 1.15. And the position size multiplier is 1.35. And then the filter, I would put yes. And I'm going to put 30 minutes and 30 minutes. We're going to trade 2 hours after the market. We trade Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we don't trade Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And if you're new, or if your account has anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 in the account, this is the settings that you want to run your software this week with, okay? So thank you so much, guys. This is going to conclude our call. I'm going to actually open up the mic. If any of you have a couple questions, I can take a couple questions. Yeah, go for it. Anybody want to ask anything? I'm more than happy to answer your questions. You can unmute yourself, or you can make the question in the chat box. It's up to you. I'll give you guys one more minute to think of any good questions or anything you'd like to know about the software. Take advantage, pick my brain. I'm very knowledgeable in the software, so go ahead and pick my brain. All right, guys, so in either case, I am, let's see. So someone's asking me for 5K, what do you recommend? So for 5K, the weekly goal, I would start with 5%. Awesome, Julia. Good job. You're a fast learner. She just did her version 4 during the time of the call. So congratulations. Awesome. So for 5K, I would do particularly this week because of the news events. So I'll give you what the settings would be. It would be 5% for the weekly. The equity protector, personally, I just run it at 100. You know, you could leave it at 50 if you're watching this manually. Lot size for 5,000 would usually be 0.05, but because we're going to use half, we're going to use 0.025. I'm sorry, 0.25. Okay, 0.025 for a $5,000 account. 0.025, yeah. For the range levels, 25. The max levels, 10 for this week. Everything else would pretty much stay the same. What I would just change is the lot size to 0.025. Everything else would stay the same and leave the filter on. I cannot only emphasize the filter. If you're using this technology for the first time and you're learning how to read Forex Factory, use the filter. Use the filter. It's gonna do a lot of the work for you. It's gonna do 99% of the work. You don't have to worry about watching out for the news events. It does it for you. So yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much. That concludes tonight's call. Unless there's any last questions, and have a great trading week. Thank you.